Mostly Meera podcast, and it is the episode you've been waiting for. I finally, and thank you to all your comments and your WhatsApps and your text messages, like harassing my mother. To be honest, she's really nervous. So yeah, if you could message her after the podcast and you will listen to it and just say she's done a great job, because I know she will. So yeah, I'm going to go straight into it because I think she's really nervous. And if I keep this going any longer, she'll probably like hit me or have a heart attack. What's one thing about you that most people wouldn't assume? I mean, there's quite a few things that people wouldn't assume looking at you.
Well, like I said, most people looking at me, without knowing me very well, would not know that I have very eclectic taste in music. I go from classical, country, right up to hard metal, and I mean metal, as in really off the
like
scale.
AC/DC and also
and then yes, and
yeah.
I also have great interest now in science, so physics and things like that I never used to do. People, when they look at me, think a middle-aged Asian woman. I like bikes. She
likes motorcycles.
If
she sees one of those people outside in a motorcycle, she'll straight away talk to them.
Yes, I'm afraid I did.
Yeah.
We had a neighbour who owned a Harley, and I sort of like commandeered his bike and him.
No, wait, it doesn't stop there. So we've got motorcycles, music, toys.
Yes, I do.
Big child.
But I am a child in many ways.
I never thought was the basis of my Where does it come from? Yeah, yesterday we went to a Christmas fair, and what did Shahzaib come out with? The first purchase that Shahzaib come out with,
bow and arrow, and
I'm not talking like a toy bow and arrow. I'm talking a full wooden crafted bow with a bunch of arrows that have metal like things that could, like, I'm not joking,
they could actually pierce something.
Yeah, we're not, there's certain words we're not allowed to use on platforms, but stuff you would use for hunting. Yeah, full on.
So proud of him.
Yeah,
absolutely proud of him.
That Nani and Nana bought for him.
Then I had a little meltdown because I couldn't buy it.
Then she wanted to buy a 1 meter Santa. Then I said no, because I was like, let's look around the whole fair first in case you find something cheap or whatever. We ended up going back to the same store and buying that Santa.
I'm so happy.
Yeah. So if you don't know, my mum has Christmasitis. Christmas on steroids, basically, which is passed down now from me to Shahzaib. So yeah, that is one thing that has been continuous. So yeah, that's the stuff about my mum that if you don't know her and you just see her randomly, she's that person. She's a child at heart. She adopts children wherever she goes. We've got one of them here, my producer. And yeah, she has very eclectic taste in a lot of things that you would not expect. How would you describe me if you had 3 words to describe me? How would you describe me?
Now or?
Oh, actually you can do 2. So when I was a child, so let's go back to like Shahzaib's age.
Do you know, I have only one word. Trouble is...
Well, that's not changed.
You're a paradox in a box.
Thanks.
Literally, because you surprise people. You portray you are very fun-loving, etc. You said 3 words, but I can't. It's impossible to describe you. But you are fun, you're loving and everything. What people don't understand about you is you are so deep inside. There is so much in you. People just see the outer. Yes, they don't see she likes you. She likes it. She's not, shallow in any way, shape, or form. She is incredibly intelligent, but she pushes out a persona. Oh, I'm not. She also is very empathic to everybody, whereas I am not. I love people and I'm very friendly, but I often dismiss them, or I'm judgmental occasionally, and I will talk over them, whereas she will sit there and listen to their problems, and she's if you empathize with them. So I would say you were, if I had to describe you, a conundrum.
Oh, well, there we go. Just let me know, guys, in the comments if you agree or not. If you know me, and let me know what you think. And if you don't know me, what you've learned from me from the podcast and my blog and stuff, let me know what you guys think. So I wanted to talk to you about lots of things, actually. So I think this episode, I'm going to kind of touch over a lot of stuff that I want to talk to you about, but we can go into deeper as sort of like in a few episodes if you're comfortable enough to come on again. Yeah, let's see how let's see if you guys can give her so much love. That would be really great, and then we can have her on again. So I want you to tell me like a brief summary of what it was like as an immigrant coming here when you were so young from Kenya, and what your childhood was like and what your experience was like, because obviously now we are in a very diverse community, and when you guys came here that wasn't
very,
the
very
case.
difficult.
And you guys came here as a family of 10.
Well, not 10.
Well, yeah,
because
no,
there's a few less.
Yeah, a few less, but you know, all
like
in
a
all,
big family.
you had a
big
huge family. So
Mm.
what was that like, coming from Kenya straight into a country where, you know, it's so different from how you grew up?
So basically, when we came to this country, it was so alien to everything we'd known. First thing that hits you was the cold. It was very, very cold. I remember I mean, I may be completely wrong because I was very young at the time, but I do remember living in a house in Hendon, and we saw snow for the first time. And what did we do when we saw snow? We ate it. I mean, seriously, you've never seen snow in your life. I mean, this brought up in Nairobi, Kenya.
Yeah.
I've never seen snow in my life. To be fair to you, I didn't register the fact that there were different races, but the fact that we were not accepted was very much obvious, in evidence. We couldn't get our foods anywhere. We were living in very, very dire conditions because
foods, you mean like the groceries
any groceries
for curries and stuff, vegetarian, right? Like
there were no, like, the only vegetables you could get was a potato. There was no such thing as any spices. They were unavailable. Everything was unavailable. You, as a child, you didn't quite register it. But what, like I said, my memory of everything was just being so cold and just being classed as somebody who was on the peripheral of everything. You were not invited to anything. They didn't welcome you in any. There were. I had people in my class, and they would just look at you. You were an alien. You were literally ET for them. You were a complete alien. They wouldn't accept, because I couldn't speak very good English. I had some basic idea of knowledge of English, but not much. And one of the things that we were taught was to speak as I am speaking now. To speak like the world.
I remember you telling me your sisters would drum that into your head.
Yes, it was. And my dad especially, you know, he came. The reason we came to England was because I think they were going to change all our passports to Kenya passports. And he said, no, I want my children to have British passports and an education in England, which is accepted all around the world. So for education reasons, he brought us here. And what we were taught was to speak like in the world BBC
the
broadcasting.
English,
you were all taught like that. Now, of course, there is diversity and regional accents are celebrated, which I think is fantastic. But back in the day, it was not acceptable. No. If you spoke with a slight twang, whether it be a slight Indian or North, whatever accent, it was not accepted. So you had to speak like this. You had to be better at everything than those in your class. Yeah.
Well, that's really like different way. I mean, you guys have probably, you know, in the last few episodes heard about how my experience at school, which wasn't great, but it wasn't as bad as like what it was. Like I remember when you said there was an influx of Punjabi kids that came to your school later when you
This,
grew up?
yeah, this was when we moved to Northolt. This was in
Yeah,
Hendon
so
when
this
we
was
first left.
northwest
When we went
London.
to when we moved to Northolt, that was the worst of it. At that time, there was a lot of fascism. A gentleman called Enoch Powell was in politics, and he made an incredibly famous speech called Rivers of Blood. If anyone knows it, I would suggest you Google it, and it will horrify you, because this was what he was preaching, that anyone from outside of Britain, outside of England, anyone who wasn't white, basically, was not acceptable, and that we would destroy this country by accepting immigrants. The fact that it was the government that asked us to come over, all of the West Indian, all of these
Yeah.
peoples to come over to help the NHS, to help all the core industries as well. You would have walk to school, you would get bullied all the way there. You'd get bullied
We're
all the
talking
way back, physically
mm,
hitting.
yeah.
Forget about the classroom, but there is. I'm going to say this, and if it's offensive, you can bleep it out. You'd walk again down the road to your school, 1.5 miles away, and you would see a wall with written
Can't
all
say
over
that,
it.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry. Okay, bleep it
Yeah,
out.
we would say a racist term that is known for what we brown people are, Asian, especially South Asian people, are immediately referred to.
When we got to school, again, you were bullied in the classroom. The only people that did appreciate us were actually the teachers, because I had my head in books. I was also an incredible athlete. I really liked my athletics, like gymnastics as well. I was
You did
extremely,
javelin,
yes,
running, yeah,
everything,
yeah. Mum
everything. I
was
was into everything.
yeah.
I was so it was a joy to me to physically do something. I loved shot put, as you said, javelin.
Yeah.
I wasn't any good at high jump because I have the shortest legs on the planet.
But actually, you know what? When we were setting up today, and I was telling her to be comfortable and put her feet on the sofa because she was sitting there and her feet couldn't touch the floor when we were sitting down.
And exactly, but I was very good at long jump, would you believe?
Well, there you
So
go.
you know, it had its advantages. And again, like I said, I excelled in a lot of subjects, especially the arts.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good at some of I was biology, yes, but I'm afraid that our teaching, the teaching back in the day for chemistry and physics was abysmal, and I ended up dropping the subjects which I actually had an interest in. But what the best thing that ever happened to my school at the time was, as we were growing up, the school decided to combine with another school in Southall. So we had, as we were predominant, there was a predominantly white population of children, and we were constantly, anyone who was brown was constantly bullied. I had one girl in my class who pretended she was Native American, First Nation American, because she was actually a Brahmin. Vyas was her surname, so I knew she was Indian, but she pretended to be that so she would be accepted.
Wow.
So to be Indian was unacceptable.
Yeah.
Anyway, these Southall boys came in Punjabi, rug. Oh, they were amazing. They weren't very good scholastically, so they'd stand by my desk and ask for help, which is absolutely
She basically used to do the boys' homework in return for protection.
Yes,
Yeah.
but they gave it anyway.
Yeah.
They gave it to any girl who was being harassed by the other children. They would just stand there, and the guys would just like, okay, we back off, because there was not just one or two. There was a full gang of them.
Amazing.
So that was the best time. I think that I couldn't have asked for a better time. But before that, like I said, racism. When people
Huge,
say,
yeah.
like, I understand every nationality experiencing racism, a lot of people just brush over the Indian getting it, because now Indians are very prominent in politics, in the economy, in business, and everything. But back in the day, we were not so.
No.
And especially when you were at school, you were picked on big time.
Yeah. I went to all girls school, like I've spoken about before, and I was one of the very few brown girls or people of color my best friend at school, she is from Ghana. Amazing girl. Me and her were like this, but because we bonded over the fact that we were quite segregated from the rest of the girls, and even though like majority of the school was English or Greek Cypriot, obviously they can pass for being white in that sense, the Mediterraneans and stuff, so they weren't treated differently like we were. So again, very similar experience, but it wasn't to that extreme
This
that
was
you
visceral.
guys, yeah.
This was it made when I mean, I understand what you went through, and I know you will touch on it later. But going to school was, I don't want to go to school. I don't
Yeah,
want
we
to go to
hated
school.
it, yeah.
But you wanted to go to school because you were learning, and my unfortunate side of it was home wasn't great either.
Yeah.
So there was, it was seesawing this way and that way. So you didn't want to go home, but you didn't want to spend all your time in school either. But it got better. Let me say that it got better.
Yeah.
And now I applaud the diversity that I'm seeing now, especially now with my grandson and the way they celebrate festivals. And I'm thinking, how wonderful is this?
What does he? So he's learning in school, and he always says being different is good. It's good to be different, and he always says that because that's, you know, one of the main things they learn at preschool is that no matter what you look like, what, you know, and I think they've learned this thing where it's like, if you can't change something, if someone can't change anything in a minute of like, you shouldn't comment on it. So like, if you know someone's taller or shorter or bigger or smaller, they can't change that in 5 minutes or 1 minute or anything. So that's something you should never comment on. And I love that he's learning stuff like that, is that everybody's accepted for who they are. But I think you've taught us that from when we were growing up, me and Jad especially, was that we don't treat people differently based on anything else except who they are as a person.
As people,
yeah.
yes.
Right, I want you to tell me my favourite story of all time, because without that story, I wouldn't be here. So, you know, how mum and dad met each other, because although everyone's like, oh my God, like couple goals, love, you know, marriage, etc., it actually wasn't a love marriage. This was a bit of both. So I'm going to let mum start from the beginning.
Okay.
And tell us how the creators of me met.
Okay, so actually there's a bit of history here. My uncle is not my actual uncle, he's my dad's cousin. He was my dad's cousin, he's passed away.
He's still uncle. So basically, if you're brown, everybody's an uncle and everybody's an aunt, and your cousins are your brothers and your sisters. So even like your dad's or your mum's brothers and sisters are your uncles and aunts. They're not your second. We don't do second, third, fourth cousins. We do uncles, aunts, and then their kids become your cousins generationally.
Anyway, so one day he came up to my dad and he said that he had somebody that he knew who was looking for a girl.
Can we clarify? So mum is from a family that has 8 girls and 2 boys.
Yes,
so
a very large
big family. Yeah,
very large family. And he came to my dad saying, well, you know, we have, they're looking for a young girl for their grandson.
So in our custom, there is like a thing where we call like a mangwanu, or it's like a proposed,
it's a marriage counselor. It's a marriage. What do you call it?
It's in Bridgerton. Like they come, you know, to ask for your hand in marriage, basically.
Yeah. What is that?
I can't remember.
He's a broker.
Yeah,
they're like brokers.
Yeah,
they're literally marriage brokers, but they're family. So it is considered, you know, it's
basically the Sima
de rigueur of everybody.
It's Sima auntie of that generation.
Yes, basically it is.
Yeah.
So he came to my dad saying, this lady has asked for a girl for her grandson. So my dad said, you know, they took my sister, slightly older than me.
So this is mum's just above her, mum's older sister.
So they asked her to be, they took her along and off she went. And
so if you guys, quick cut in, you know, the person I always refer to as my godfather, who they only live up the road from my parents. So this was all their family arranging it, because obviously you guys know my dad's parents had passed away, so he was raised by his maternal grandma. So
Maternal uncles
and uncles. So this was all arranged literally up the road from. Also, you'll know this is a new filming area, because I'm filming this at my parents' house. So yeah, up the road from here is where like all of this stuff was going on.
Yeah. So the maternal grandmother had asked my uncle.
So we call her Ba. So we'll just say Ba.
Ba had asked my kaka to find a girl. So he takes along my sister. And there was...
they didn't gel.
That
was it, yeah.
They didn't gel. And unfortunately, she was slightly older. It wasn't much. It was about 6 months or so, but she was slightly older as well. So when they said that, oh, you know, sorry, but she's slightly older and it just wouldn't work, my kaka pipes up with, there's a younger one, there's a younger sister. And the next day, off I go. What day is that? February the 14th.
Valentine's Day. If fate wasn't a story, I'm telling you, fate.
So now, believe me when I say I was very reluctant to go. I was not.
Well, you wanted to study.
Yes, I wanted to study. I wanted to go to university. I was just not interested in marriage. I was just like, oh, why do I have to go? Anyway, I was dressed up. And back in the day, believe me, the only makeup I ever knew existed was a bit of blusher and lipstick. That was it. Nothing else.
She doesn't need to say nothing, right? Because she was a hottie, yeah? This one would be like mini skirts, knee-high boots. She's chatting. I would say I was going to put up pictures, but I'm going to forget. So I'm not even going to do that, because she'll kill me if I do that. But yeah, I have pictures of her in like skirts, like I'm talking... If I went out in skirts and knee-high boots like that, she would have slapped me one at her age. So yeah, let's not even. She was stunning. She still is stunning. But when she was younger, oh my god, like she don't believe in it because she's got like hereditary insecurity. But you know, stunning.
But you don't understand that. I know.
Yeah, you grew up in the same environment.
We will touch over this. Why I didn't think I was pretty at all. Zero.
Okay,
you know,
carry on.
Anyway. So I get taken to Southgate. Never had a very long drive, because Northwark to Southgate is quite a long drive. So off we go, and we go to this house. And I was told, look, you must behave. And I'm like, I always behave anyway. But yeah, because this is a very distinguished family. Okay, fine.
Basically, you have to impress them.
Yes, and I get led into a room where and sat on a sofa, and I'm surrounded by all these ladies and gentlemen, and all of them looking at you like this, because my head was like this. God help me. And I was so shy isn't the word. I was overwhelmed. We had dinner, and then I was asked to go into the house. Now, the maternal uncles both have houses literally next to each other, and both identically built, furnished, etc. So you wouldn't know which house was which. You would now. There's slight personality changes in the way they're decorated, but back in the day, absolute identical. So cloned. So we went from this house to that house and went into the front room with Pilu.
So she was asked to go into a separate room in the different house with my dad to like make sure they get on and like, yeah.
2 hours later.
Yeah, 2 hours in a room.
Later, we yap. And it was, I don't know how, but we clicked. And at the end of it, we came out, and this is the level of conversation that was had. His grandmother looked at him, and she didn't even say, you know, how did it go? She looked with her eyes and said to him, and he said, and then she put the chundri on me.
In our thing, we have like a chundri, which is basically like a scarf
that
means that you're engaged, basically. So they got engaged on Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Unofficially, but yes, that was the day.
So that's the one stig that Mum's got with Dad, is he never got down on one knee and proposed.
No, he came a week later with a ring here.
Yeah,
that was it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a very beautiful ring. It was a
it's
very
a really
beautiful
nice
ring, but he did not here.
But back in those days, no one did the proposals and stuff.
Some
I
did.
don't think he's any much less of what he does for you now. Yeah, like literally.
Yeah, okay, daddy's girl. But yeah, that was the unique part of it, and it was February.
We're not going to touch
1979
on that. Yeah,
when it happened,
yeah.
and in July. No, sorry, 1980.
19th
And
of
July.
19th of July, they got married.
Yeah.
So you've been married for 45 years?
What year is it?
Well, I'll be 40 next year. So
it's 2024.
Yeah.
So yeah, 44 years.
And then
next year will be
when I
45.
turn 40, they'll be married 45 years.
Yeah. So 1980, July 1980 was when we got married. Yeah. We've been together since.
Okay, so I wanted to touch on this because I know this subject could go very, very much for a couple of hours, but we haven't got that sort of time today. When you got married, so you obviously went from two very different backgrounds. So you went from a struggling background,
yes,
would I say?
Yes, impoverished. We were very, it was difficult.
To a very affluent background. But in doing so, I think you were 19 when you got married. You were barely barely matured, or didn't know how to cook. But that's obviously not something that should be expected of a woman now. But back in those days was very much so. You should know how to cook, clean.
A good housewife.
Good housewife. Your husband is like God. Yeah, the saying is Pati Parameshwar, which is like your husband is God, which I think is absolute.
Basically, Pati Parameshwar means your husband is your ultimate God.
Your forever God, basically.
No, ultimate God.
No, don't believe in that, ladies. Honestly.
I'm translating.
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, when I say and trust me, as a Hindu, I do believe in my religion. But if you're gonna believe, you want the relationship as Shiv Shakti. You don't want the relationship.
But that is our religion.
But he treats her like an equal.
But that is our religion. Yeah. What one must look at.
Sanatan Dharma is women are up here, not down there as mostly are treated.
It is twisted. Let's put it that way.
So let's go back into when you got married. You got the shock of your life.
Yes, absolutely. Bearing in mind that I had my nose in books as well as being into athletics and all that. For me, getting married was a Mills and Boons story. You got married, happily ever after, fairy tale, blah, 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 everything. All your problems ended when you got married. It was so the naivety I lived under was hilarious.
I don't think it was naivety. I think it was hope.
I don't think so. I think it literally is you were not aware. Hope would be you wanted
because you wanted to, like most of your sisters, if I'm allowed to say, especially those who I have a very good relationship with. Two of your sisters, especially, really been a very prominent part of our life. Marriage to them at that point in time was an escape.
Yes, every one of us, to be fair to you, we all tried to escape because of what was going on at home. We will not touch on that. No,
that will be for another.
Yeah,
maybe not. I don't know. It's a very
it's a subject that
it's a sore subject, and it's not. It requires a professional therapist.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does. So we won't go into the trauma behind that. But what I will say is that Mum was put into a situation, how you guys know from past episodes, of living in a joint family. So imagine, this is before me even being here. You got married and then straight away you're put into this situation.
It is very orthodox, very structured. Everything had to be just so. You were supposed to wear saris, you were supposed to cook well, you were supposed to look after the house well. I did not. I didn't. Well, I wore a sari, but apart from that, you had to fit in with what was. Now you see a lot in Indian series. You see this, you know, well, with the wife,
Gopi
yeah,
Bahu.
and who is absolute perfection. You know, she does everything for the husband, the mother-in-law, the whatever.
I
You know,
mean, now it's Anupama, but yeah,
yeah, but
yeah,
you know, all of that was
yeah.
expected of somebody like myself who
Didn't have a
clueless,
clue, yeah.
clueless, literally
But you
clueless.
weren't brought up to have that in,
I had
yeah.
literally, like I said, I did not conform to anything. For me, it was a Mills and Boone story. It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, I got married,
And you're
yay!
gonna travel the world and have the best time of your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that for me, it was just it was so it was such a
Culture
shock.
shock, yeah,
It
yeah.
was. Um, I don't think any lady now, girl now, would be
I
able.
think you need to sort of explain what happened when you got, like, what did you have to do?
Okay, so one of the things that was expected of me, the way I dressed, is actually you were only allowed to wear saris. The other
But
thing,
this was not expected by the daughters.
no,
Yeah, so
this
none
was
of the daughters, none of the granddaughters were expected to do. This was just
for all the
daughter-in-laws.
daughter-in-laws. They had to
Yeah.
conform to the status quo, which is you wore saris, you cooked well, you cooked for your husband, you cooked for your family, you ensured that everything was nice, neat, tidy. You fitted into, what was that series? Not Desperate Housewives. There was it's like Stepford Wife
The
sort of
Stepford
thing.
Wives,
Yes,
yeah.
you were
Keeping
almost
Up Appearances.
robotic. Everything
Yeah.
has
Mrs.
to be,
Bouquet.
not even Mrs. Bouquet because she
Yeah.
was powerful,
Yeah.
but this was, you had to, in the
You were a
1940s
Stepford
and
wife.
yeah, 1940s and 50s actually were the epitome of what
Yeah.
what I was supposed to be like.
Yeah,
And you
Stepford
never,
wife.
you couldn't say your husband's name. In fact,
No.
one of my friends still laughs at me saying, when I first met you, you would
Yeah.
not say Pilu's name.
So if
Asked
you
you
know
about
my
6
brother,
times.
you know he's got a best friend he's had from when he was like 4 years old. So the reason he has that best friend, they're our neighbours. So they live opposite mom and dad's house. So his parents are mom and dad's best friends.
We are very very close, and his mom, like I said, we could pick up a conversation.
Yeah,
but
they could not
two
talk
years
for like
2 years,
6
and then
months,
was like,
and then like
yeah, straight away back into it.
Actually,
yes,
to be fair, because of her, we met our producer.
yes, true,
Yeah,
true,
because if
true.
it wasn't for her,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have the best friend that I have now. So there we
And,
go. Shabai's godmother would it be?
And on top of that, I think she helped me break out of the mold after my husband's grandmother passed away. She was the one that sort of mainly pushed me out there.
Let's go back to what your life was like when she was here, and how you went straight from being married to
literally being told what to do, how to do it, when to do it. I rebelled. I didn't know what to do. I fibbed a lot. I said, yeah, I can cook, and I couldn't. I didn't conform well. I just did not fit in. I was not the perfect wife supposed to be. Pilu was very supportive, but again, one must remember that he also was indebted to the family that he was in. They were never unkind per se. The grandmother was, but all the others were not unkind to me. But what was expected of me was expected of me, and I could not live up to my expectations. I think you need to explain
this a little bit in the sense. So basically, mom got married, and because my dad was raised by his grandmother on his maternal side, my dad always felt indebted to her because she raised him. So when they got married, my mom sort of became just like, as I've said before, a slave. Like everything she wanted, whenever she wanted, whatever her kids wanted, whatever their kids wanted. And I'm not saying all of them, because some of them are definitely exempt. You still have good relationships with some of them. One of them became my adopted grandmother. She passed away literally the same year that my great grandmother passed away. But even to this day, her daughter and her son and her husband, they are like second family to us.
Very much so.
We still have good relationships with some of the people from there, but we don't have a good relationship with a lot of them because of how my great grandmother allowed my mum to be treated. I think you need to touch on that, where you got married and then that was it. You were trained to be a cook,
but you were not supposed to have a personality.
Yeah.
You were not supposed to do anything that was outside of. It was almost a fascist regime. You were supposed to do this, and this, and that was it. There was no leeway at all. There was no freedom to do anything. And it got worse as when I had children, I was not allowed to take them out anywhere. They were always classified as peripheral, second class citizens, because it was their family. Now, may I point out that the maternal uncles were amazing to us, and their families were still amazing to us, but it was the maternal aunt.
Like I touched on before, the godfather, as I call him, the ones that live up the road, are the reason we are here now, and the reason why most of these people, especially these aunts and whatever, are here in this country, because without them and their support financially or otherwise, none of them would be here. And you know, they are the ones that established so many people. We were lucky just for having, when I guys told you, like, you know, if it wasn't for my uncle, there's a lot of situations that I would have been in, very dire situations they have brought me out of. And he was my biggest uncle. My great uncle. Yeah, he is my biggest support.
He did not judge you.
He never judged me. He helped me. He was one of the best people. We were so lucky he got to meet Shahzaib. We still have a picture of him holding Shahzaib with the biggest smile on his face. So we were really, really lucky with that. But the trauma from how we were treated by the aunts and stuff, I think that's still a huge subject. Like, my therapist is like, honestly, she's so done with this subject. No, she's not going to take that, but she's not done with it. But she knows that it does crop up now and again, especially like when family functions come up and stuff like that. Now we're just like, well, we can't be bothered, because where were you? Like, where were you?
There was never support.
Yeah, like I remember Mum would wake up at like 5 a.m, cater to my great grandma, cater to everybody else who thought this house was like a walk-in service station. Like, come in, eat, walk out, you know, get what they want from us, bring their kids, their grandkids, whatever, like whoever would come in. It was literally like a walk-in open house. That's it. That's the word I was looking for. It was an open house. She would cook for them, clean for them, whatever requests my great grandma had for that day. And then, you know, at the end of the day, she would massage my great grandma, do her hair, until 2 in the morning, until she finally fell asleep.
So it was about 11. I wouldn't say 1 to, but 11 o'clock.
And then we would, obviously, until I was 15, we were all in one room. So I'd wait for you to come back in the room, and then we'd all fall asleep, or I remember I have this one distinct memory. You remember when Dirty Dancing was out?
Yes.
And we were watching. We had this little TV. I think it was like this big.
Yes.
On a little dressing table. So we had 2 beds. So a double bed, which Mum, Dad, and Jard slept in. And I had a little single bed on the side. And we had this little little TV and a little sofa in front. And Dirty Dancing coming. We obviously bond over Patrick Swayze. And I remember, because obviously I was really young. Like Jard was like 2 or 3, so I was about 9.
I'm not sure that Jard was born.
Oh yeah, no, he was born, because he was born.
Okay.
And then the naughty scene came on, and Dad was like, "Go in the bath." And I remember watching the film through the peephole, like the naughty scene through the peephole in the bathroom. Because my dad was like having palpitations, like, my daughter's not watching. Like, what are you letting my daughter watch? And then it was like, come out afterwards and we watched the rest of the film. But it was honestly, then the fact that it had still had the mum in the film is Emily Gilmore.
Yes.
And we are like avid Gilmore Girl fans, because like I think we have a very much relationship in that sense of like, especially with the generation and how Emily was from a different generation, and what her expectations were for Lorelai and stuff. We have that generational thing.
We are Lorelai and Rory.
Yeah, but the other way around.
Other way around.
Yeah,
you're Lorelai.
You're Rory. So, guys, we're going to do a little fun segment now. We're going to do a game, which is like our 5 favorite things. Our producer's going to ask us questions, and we're going to write down each other's favorite, and then we're going to reveal our answers and see if it's the same for like what they guess, basically.
So you're not supposed to let me see, is it?
Yeah, so you can't see and I can't see. So basically afterwards, producer's going to ask us the question, I'm going to answer and you're going to answer, and then we're going to show the answers basically and what we said.
Okay.
Number 1.
Okay, number 1, guess each other's favourite food. Vegetarian food specifically.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. Guess each other's favourite childhood memory together.
I've got 2.
Yeah, same. Okay.
Next one is favourite TV show.
Yeah.
Both putting the same one on.
Literally.
Okay, and the last one is...
That's 4.
Oh, no, it's not the last one. Never mind.
Yeah.
Favourite song.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the last one now is most likely to say, so a catchphrase or a habit.
Okay.
I'm stuck. I haven't written anything.
I have. What do you say every single day when you need something?
No, but you.
Even if I'm here or not. What do I say when I come to this house? The first thing, Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So don't show the board. Just say what you said. And then we'll show the board at the end, because otherwise all the answers will be revealed.
Okay.
Okay, so what's the first one?
The first one was favourite vegetarian food.
What did you put as mine?
Lasagna.
Yeah, mine is lasagna. And I said pasta for you.
Mm.
Yeah. Did you put... No,
I put lasagna.
Yeah, you put lasagna, yeah. Favourite memory?
Watching Lady and the Tramp together.
I got that wrong.
Dirty dancing.
I said Rice It Lido.
Oh, I thought we were watching stuff. Oh, that was that was beautiful.
I said when we went to the man-made beach, and then I said when I got lost in Hamleys.
That wasn't a memory. That was trauma.
That was trauma, but yeah. What did you say?
Lady and the Tramp, because we watched
we
the
made
film,
the spaghetti afterwards,
and it was so precious. But Liza Lighter, the reason I loved it with her, but I didn't like the peripherals.
Yeah, so for me, that was one of my favourite memories, because we went. That was my first memory of a beach.
But
Number
I do
3,
remember
favourite TV show.
Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. If you don't get this, I'm gonna be really pissed. Number 4.
Time of your life.
No, the Bangles.
Oh,
How
my
did you
bedtime
miss that?
song. Your bedtime song.
How did you
Your
miss?
bedtime song was, and it was in the Gilmore Girls as well.
Yeah, the Bangles.
It's the only song
see, now
I
I'm
sing.
feeling. She don't know. No.
No, I do know you, babe. It's your lullaby.
Yeah.
It's your lullaby. But we also, our second favourite song.
But Bangles is our song.
Bangles is 100% our song. Do you know my memory didn't go back to lullaby?
So basically,
if someone
when
said,
I was
"What's
little,
your favourite lullaby?"
Yeah. See, when I was little, Mum used to sing me to sleep until
I've got a
literally
sixth
I
one.
was 15. Wait. Till I was 15, and it was close your eyes, give me your hand,
darling. Do you feel my heart?
Yeah, that one.
It's the only one I can sing pitch perfect. I sound like a goose otherwise. I've got a sixth one.
What's your sixth one? You haven't told me the question.
Favorite book, and I know that one. If you don't get this one,
if you don't get this one, I'll be pissed. Right. The thing you say the most in this house, even like, do you know what I said?
But I know what you say when you first come in.
Jard!
And yeah, Jard and
I put
Mom.
Jard.
Yeah.
No, I said Jard.
Jard.
The first thing I say when
We
I come
all
to the house is my
help
brother's name.
Jard.
Jard.
Mom and Jard.
No, I said Jard.
Yeah.
Because
No, you say Mom first, then
but
Jard.
I said this for you.
Yeah,
That's
me,
what
me,
you say
yeah.
the most
And
in
you
this
say
house.
Mom.
Yeah, I say Mum. But you
You
say
say
Jard.
Jard.
The
Yeah,
most in
she
this
says
house.
Jard.
Yeah.
100% she says Jard.
Yeah. No, you say Jard.
I say Jard, sorry,
Yeah.
and you say Mum.
Right, okay, favourite book.
Heidi.
Yeah, I put Heidi. Yeah.
Bonded over that.
We did.
Really.
Mum used to read Heidi to me every single night. So now we've had fun. I just wanted to touch on the subject because I am coming out with a little surprise coming in a few weeks about generational trauma, which affects, I think, all of us. How you prevented what you went through onto me and Jard.
Yeah.
And how you raised us so differently in comparison to how you were raised, and then your married life and the pressures and how you saw people being raised, how that was so different to how we were brought up. Like what was your main motto in bringing us up?
I wanted to give you both magic to ensure
Which you
that
did.
magical childhood, and the reason I find cyclical is that what every single woman I know has been through a trauma, and then what happens is that the trauma is then generated, it cycles, and this is what I wanted to break. I wanted you guys to have a magical childhood, but also never be judgmental of other people. Be kind, be good. If anyone were to come to you, do not judge them on how much they earn, what job they do. Do not be shallow. Welcome people from all walks of life. Be good, be kind, accept everyone. Be as like I said, diversity. Celebrate diversity, and never ever forget the fact that magic is there. You just be that's why we celebrate Christmas and make everything joyful, where it's a birthday, a tiny little thing like opening a present, or we all we give little presents as well as big presents. It's not the cost of the presents, it's how much thought is being put into something. So to celebrate people, never be selfish. And I'm so happy that both of you are such wonderful human beings, because you are kind, thoughtful, loving to everybody. I don't know anyone who will say, oh, she's really mean, she's really shallow, she's really this. I do not want this persona of no, we only judge you because how much you earn, what I have when you go to a hotel, you will treat the staff just as you would treat somebody who is royalty. You will treat them with great respect. You will treat them as a person. You will not dismiss them saying, oh, do this, do that. Why? They are human beings just like yourself. They're doing a very good job. Why would you do that? Why would you not allow why would you be mean to someone like that? That doesn't irk me. That makes me angry. The disparity when you show off your wealth to someone who hasn't got it, or you show off your intellect because someone who is not as clever. Don't do that. Be nice to everybody.
You went through when you were growing up?
Yes.
Generation where your family would judge other people based on
how
wealth,
much you earned,
education,
cost, everything, like how high up you were in that, because
so was caste a thing at that point as well?
Caste, yes, you daren't marry out of caste. The other thing you daren't do was, like said, some families are judged better than others. Obviously, wealth was a huge thing, and their families were very up there, you know,
Affluent, yeah.
not just affluent, but they had a good reputation.
Yeah.
So all of these things are very important. But that's where I'm feeling that, you know, that you guys managed to break it somehow, and I'm so happy
we
about
broke it
that.
because of how you brought us up. That there's credit you have to take where credit, you know, is comes. We were brought up by you. You gave us that upbringing to never judge people based on anything, really, because you don't know anybody's situation.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. I think as human beings, we should be, like I said, people say religion, and I say I do not believe in any set religion. I'm a Hindu, but Hinduism is an ethos, and we carry it through in
dharma.
everything.
We call Sanatan Dharma, where we believe every belief is valuable. You know, we learn from everything. We teach from everything. Our learning is based on physics, on science. You know, that's where our ethos comes from. It's not
equality. All of that is
again
very...
we won't touch on, because obviously that is another. It is a
but
varied subject. But from how we were brought up to how you were brought up, I think you managed to break so much, because even though we were brought up in a joint family, you gave us Christmas magic. That's why we all have Christmasitis, even Shivai. You know, we're all a bit bananas. Birthdays are a huge deal. Mother's Day, Father's Day, we make huge deals out of little things. If one of us passes an exam or does a course, or you know,
or is even ill,
we always make the other person feel
are you
special.
okay?
Yeah, if one person doesn't eat in this house, nobody's eating in this house. Like if somebody's got something in the fridge, a message will go out in the group, who's blah 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 is this, can I have a little bit? And there's never one instance where someone said no, you can't have this. So that's where I think we are been brought up with so much generosity, with kindness, with, you know, and going back to Shivai being, you know, awarded from the head of school a kindness award. Why? Because he's had that instilled in him. Because when he was born, we lived here for like 8-9 months, maybe even longer. He has had all of this stuff instilled in him from birth, that you guys have instilled in us, that we've obviously now passing on generation to generation.
I think it's also important to celebrate independence. I think like to raise you as independent thinkers. If you don't agree with me on something, I might tell you off, you know, and you know, say don't do this.
No,
don't do
we
that.
always have.
But
we always have.
you're allowed to exactly.
House, we have a voice.
Call back, like I said. There are things that my son doesn't agree with me. There's things that he doesn't agree with me.
That's been really important. We all have a voice in this house. Everybody's opinion matters. Even if it's deciding to go to an event. If one person says, well, I don't want to go here because X, Y, and Z, then we make a collective decision on who's going, if we should go. And if, you know, if one member of the family has been offended, and none of us are going.
Yeah, you don't mess with that.
Yeah, that's one thing we always have is, which I've mentioned before, is the circle of trust. Is our whole family, and we only let certain people into this circle, which is all your adopted children. But again, their loyalty for us it means so much more than any amount of financial, you know, stuff for us. We have family that we've chosen. You know?
Absolutely.
So we're very lucky in that sense. And on that, I'm going to close this episode, and I'm going to say, please welcome my mum back for another episode, especially I think we should have, I know Dad won't be on camera, but he can sort of sit on the side and add his 2 pence in as he does. And we can have Jar definitely on camera, because he really wants to touch on so many subjects that we've done growing up. And I think that would be another, like, for the new year, that would be an episode. So
I think maybe after Christmas or something, we could do it. And I think he has a lot of
say,
very in depth.
So thank you so much for coming on this episode. Thank you for being brave enough to do it. Really appreciate your time. And guys, thank my mom in the comments. Subscribe to my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're now on Apple and Spotify, so please subscribe, please listen, rate myself 5 stars, please, if you enjoyed the podcast, obviously, and give you a little review if you can, because it really helps. Just like 2 minutes out of your day will really help me. I love you guys so much, and thank you for tuning in.